Alright, guys. So, I'm going to be doing a review of God Country. This was a comic sent to me by my friend Chris. Chris, thank you once again, brother. And this was an Image book I've been dying to read for the longest time because this is a comic that I have thoroughly wanted to read from one of my favorite writers, Donny Cates. And a lot of people have said that this is like his magnum opus, like the biggest thing he's done. And that's a lot saying he's done a lot of other stuff. You know, obviously he wrote a really he wrote probably the definitive run on Venom, although the bar wasn't that high, let's be real, but he basically wrote the definitive run for Venom. Again, bar wasn't that high, but you know, whatever. Then you have his other work like Thor and Hulk, which tragically got cut down because of a horrible circumstances in his personal life. He had also been writing a lot of Image books that put him on the map, such as, like I've been talking about, Redneck. I've done, and Vanquish, which I haven't finished yet. Volume 2, I don't even think, like, Volume 2's the end. I think it just, because of his injury, he couldn't continue it. I don't know if that's the case. I'll just have to wait for Vanquish Volume 2, but we'll see. Anyway, but this, everyone has said, is his, like, this is the magnum opus for Donny Cates. And that is, so let's get into God Country. What is God Country? What is this comic about? God Country is a pretty simple premise, but it's also it's 6 issues long. Basically what the comic is about, it centers in Texas in some nebulous time. I'd probably say like the 1960s or 70s. They don't really say for sure, but it definitely gives that that vibe of late 60s, early 70s East Texas. Excuse me, West Texas. And in here we follow a family called the Quinlans. And the Quinlan family, Roy and his wife, Janie, have been trying to look after Roy's father, who's dying of Alzheimer's and becoming worse and worse and worse. Until one day a storm comes barreling through, and it isn't like a normal tornado. It's a demon who was being chased by the thing called the God of Swords, Valifax. Valifax gets taken in the hands of Emmett. His mind is returned to him, and he proceeds to slay the demon and restore his mind again and repair the house. But all's not good, because it turns out that sword belonged to a pantheon of gods who are now all coming to get that sword back. Yeah. So this comic is a straight-up banger. It tells a whole story in 6 issues. I don't think it needed to be I know some people said, oh, why can't it be an ongoing? No, I don't think that's the case. Side note, I really love there's a narrator from a future member of the Quinlan family, and you can almost hear Sam Elliott's voice doing the narration. You can almost hear Sam Elliott narrating, like, the whole story back and forth. It's a story, and it's a story about fathers and sons, which has been the big thing that Donny Cates has done for the longest time. A lot of his comics come down to relationships between fathers and sons. That might have something to do because in some interviews he talked about having, discrepancies and whatnot with his father, and him trying to make it right right by him towards the end. Again, I can't confirm that, but that's what I've seen, and Cates always kind of hinted at that. The comic also, if you're talking about gods, they're very Jack Kirby-esque. It's very clear that Cates was the right guy to do Thor, and I really do wish that we got him to do a New Gods. I wish he went to DC and did like something with the New Gods. I'd love to see him do like an Orion or Darkseid comic. Because these characters look like darker versions of characters you would see in a Jack Kirby comic. A lot of it, they're kind of their own pantheon and things like that. The story at its core, while it has these crazy god kind of stories, the whole story in of itself is Emmett battling this disease that's just over his shoulder. And I know what you're going to say, well, why can't the gods just fix his mind? He brings that up. Like, he says, look, I can give you... He was talking to the god of war, Aristus, and he's talking to Aristus. He's like, look, man, I'll give you the sword. I will willingly give you the sword back, but if I do, will you guys promise to, fix my mind? And Aristus says, oh, you have that's what you call it? Like, he's explaining Alzheimer's. He's like, oh, that's what you call it? Yeah, we can't fix that, dude. That's a disease that affects man and God. We haven't figured it out. So I'm sorry, dude. The moment you give up that sword, you're going to go back to the way you were. And Emmett's like, no. And then I love the moment he's like, Aristus is like, all right, man, if I come back, we're not going to meet as friends, and I'm going to have to tell my father, do you have a message for my father? And he's like, I got one. And then he goes back, and Aristus's father, Atum, is like, you know, what message do you have? And he goes, come and take it. And I thought, yeah. It's also funny to note because, like, this isn't the first story Donny Cates has talked about in West Texas, obviously, the Redneck and a few others. He is from Texas, and one of the inspirations for this comic was, as a kid, he would draw, like, when his family was driving along these big open roads and just nothing but mountainous ranges or open fields, he would just imagine, like, these ancient gods, like, fighting each other, on these plains, because it's just nothing. Like, the dude clearly, you wouldn't notice it, but the dude's got like real Texan vibes. Yeah. This comic is also really sad and emotional towards the end. I don't want to spoil it for those who have seen it, but it does come to a very tragic end at towards, well, the end of the story. But having said all that, this is a stunning comic. I absolutely adore this story. If I know Donny Cates may never write again, but he has God Country to hang his hat on. I also heard back in 2021 there was supposed to be a movie that Donny Cates was helping to write the script for, but due to his injury, I've heard nothing else after that. And yeah, not a TV series, but a movie from Netflix, which honestly might be for the best. I would love to see this, especially like have Sam Elliott actually like narrate the story. That'd be a lot of fun. But I think, you know, I think we're good with this comic for right now. Would I love to see a movie at some point? Yeah, but I don't trust Netflix enough, so maybe that could be another streaming service, but who knows. Anyway, once again, I'd like to thank Chris for this comic, and you guys tell me in the comments below. If you've read God Country, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Like it, hate it, comment below, let me know. Other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.